Hey, Dr. Brooke here with another incredible episode of Dr. Brooke on the Block. I am joined by my co-pilot today, Najah Roberts, who is a Bitcoin expert, radio host, and keynote speaker from Los Angeles, California, not too far from me. After leaving traditional finance with over 13 years under her belt, Najah dove headfirst into cryptocurrency and never looked back. She quickly realized how difficult it was to get assistance that wasn't being provided by a bot or AI system. Determined to give the space a desperately needed human touch, she became the founder of the first Black-owned cryptocurrency exchange in the country, which is called Crypto Blockchain Plug, where she offers personalized coaching, support, and guidance. Welcome to the show, Najah. So glad.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on.
Yay! I'm excited for you to be here too. You and I spoke together at an event here in San Diego back in October, which was phenomenal. And you broke down a lot of different things about the future of blockchain. But before we get into all of that, I want to hear how you left 13 years of traditional finance and entered the cryptocurrency world. Where did all that start?
Well, you know what? It actually wasn't a hard thing to do because I had been in the financial services space really searching for what I could do to help close the wealth gap in my community. And so I was really getting frustrated when I was looking at different financial services products and really realizing that they weren't always intended for us to win. And a lot of the same people, it just kept going back into the same circle of hands.
Yep.
And they were making the lion's share of the money, and they were giving us just enough to make ends meet, or just enough to get by when you retire, or just enough to get by when someone passed on. And I was thinking, something's wrong with this. I've got to do something different. I know I want to help people financially, but what is being given to me is not really what I can utilize to help my community. And then came Bitcoin. And it was just real easy to leave after I really got an epiphany that this is what could really change the financial trajectory of my community forever.
Mm-hmm. What year did that happen for you?
2017. That was in
Okay. Wow.
2017.
Yeah, so you're what would be considered a veteran in the space at this point, with 5 years under your belt. I know you did, excuse me, I know you talked about at the conference you and I spoke together at, you had started doing some dabbling into altcoins, and then you've come back full circle to Bitcoin. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Like how you first jumped into Bitcoin, got over, and came back?
So originally, I got into Bitcoin, and I have to smile because I call myself a recovering coinaholic. So I am a recovering coinaholic. So I got into Bitcoin originally. Some friends of mine and my husband's had come over and tried to talk to us about Bitcoin mining, which we're kicking ourselves in the backside right now because we didn't do that way back 2013, 2011, somewhere around in there.
Wow.
So they did it, and they're all doing fabulous, by the way. So that being said, we're the highfalutin financial advisors. We know everything. We're going to be smart. So I'm going to go and get Bitcoin myself without talking to these friends that are Bitcoin mining, because what they're doing is silly. I'm just going to buy some and do blah. So I bought the Bitcoin. I put it on Mt. Gox. Well, I didn't put it on there. I bought it on Mt. Gox, left it. You know what happened with Mt. Gox. So I was one of those people that you're kind of hearing right now on CNN, CNBC, that's saying this is fake. This is because the exchange dictated my thought process of what Bitcoin actually was. So I just thought Bitcoin was a scam. And so from 2013-ish to about 2017, like I didn't even want to look at it because my Bitcoin was gone. There was nobody I could call to get it. I thought FDIC was like the greatest thing since sliced bread, which I've since found out just this year the FDIC is full of it.
Right.
That's a whole nother story because I had some money missing out of a bank account, and that's gone absolutely nowhere in 2022. But anyway, that being said, really just started going down the rabbit hole in 2017 and really understood the technology
Yeah.
and the value and what was at hand. And I told my husband, listen, not going back. I'm not going back because those people, I call those people are for nothing but themselves. And so, um, I got into the into the Bitcoin space then again, and then I kept hearing this, oh, this is gonna be the next Bitcoin, this is gonna be the next Bitcoin, this is gonna be, and I was getting any and every cryptocurrency I could because of course it was cheaper than
Yeah.
Bitcoin was at that time. Bitcoin had gone up to about 17,000 at that time. And it
Hmm.
was like, hey, you can buy this coin for point zero, you could get it for pennies on the dollar. And so why not get this? So I tell you, I bought all of these coins. I bought all the coins I could buy. I tell people all the time, I'm not a porn star. I don't like porn, but I bought porn coin, because somebody's gonna watch porn, right? I bought weed coin. I bought a repo coin. Like I was buying because my mindset was that these companies were going to do great because they were in these industries that people use. But that's not how cryptocurrency
Right.
actually works. And so I bought it all, and so I had massive amounts, and I was on massive amount of exchanges, probably to the tune of about 30 some odd exchanges, which
Wow.
meant my information was all over the dark web, and it just was a catastrophe. And so I lost a lot of money. Exchanges closed, and so they took my coin with it. I even have coin right now on the old Binance before they did the Binance US, and so I can't get it because I thought I was smarter than the average bear. Oh, they won't find out I'm in the United States. I'll just keep it over there. And so they locked my account up. I can still see my coins, but I can't access them until I decide to take residency somewhere else, which I intend to do in the future. So I'm not
Yeah.
really worried about it, but it's just interesting. But being a altcoin buyer, I did, and it just got me nowhere. It just got me a lot of lost money and a lot of lost time, but it taught me a lesson. That's what it did do.
Oh my gosh. Okay, first off, that is an adventure. You were going high, low, high, loopy, 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 all over the place with all kinds of different exchanges and coins and doing all these things. I first want to go back and commend you for the fact that you got into Bitcoin kind of early on, and then you ended up losing all of your Bitcoin. And then you said, I want nothing to do with this. This is a scam, blah, 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 blah. Yet you came back. So many
Yes,
people don't come back, and they are missing out on some incredible opportunities that are going to be happening in the future. But they're still pretty bitter with the more recent developments of a huge exchange going down, and hopefully they do come back. And that's why proper education in the space and what you're doing to educate and coach and support and give that guidance, that human feel to people through crypto blockchain plug is so necessary because you've experienced what it's like to go through all the AI, all the robots, not getting anybody, not being able to talk to anybody, not being able to do anything outside of that. So just it's amazing how I guess I want to say it's amazing how your story, what occurred, has led you to become this leader in the space to provide the education that people need. And you can say, hey, look, I've been there. I've made these mistakes. I've done all of this. I'm coming to you with real live education, real life, and moving through. So I just think it's fascinating and amazing.
well, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Can you briefly, oh, no, not briefly, I do want you to talk about it in detail. Like how does crypto blockchain plug work? And how can people engage in and utilize what you're
So
doing?
yeah, so our exchange, Crypto Blockchain Plug, is different from all other exchanges. From day one, we have been preaching self custody. So when you buy from our exchange, we do not custody your coin. It is your responsibility to custody your coin. So we just make the transition between the fiat and the Bitcoin, and then we immediately send it to your wallet. We teach our clients from day one, they need their C words, their passwords, all those things, which is much different from any of the other exchanges, which is why they've made such a lion's share of money. And I've been preaching this forever and ever and ever. And so now to hear these other exchanges saying self-custody is the best thing, I'm thinking, that's a novel idea. Because they knew they were taking advantage of people, and they've been buying stadium naming rights and all these other things with everybody's money. And it's just time. It's time for us to put the human aspect with this cryptocurrency thing, because it is definitely needed. And I think with our exchange, again, people, a lot of people, and there's no secret, there are a lot of unbanked people in this country.
Yes.
There are a lot of underbanked people. And we in the cryptocurrency space have totally gotten away from the original goal of this thing, and it was to be peer-to-peer, not centralized. And with so many people not having bank accounts, like, how do they buy Bitcoin? How do they go about getting access to it? And so we provide that bridge. And we're looking to open up locations all across the United States, so everybody has an equal opportunity to get involved with Bitcoin, and not just have to stand by and be a onlooker because they don't have a bank account, or they don't have a bank account or a bank that will accept them, trying to buy Bitcoin online and those sorts of things. So we want to bring the brick and mortar experience to every community across the U.S.
So is with the brick and mortar approach, then somebody can come in with cash and be able to turn the cash into the Bitcoin? Because you mentioned something, and which is a really sad reality here in the United States. People look at it like, oh, we're, first world country, but there are a lot of unbanked and underbanked people here. You think about that in other countries, but United States, we have all of those people as well. So if they don't have bank accounts to link like traditional exchanges, you have to have a bank account to link or a credit card to link to be able to purchase cryptocurrency and play in the world of blockchain. What you're providing is the ability to take cash, paper cash for coins, and turn it into Bitcoin.
Yes, absolutely. And there was a statistic, and a lot of people are like, are you sure those numbers are right? But this is really a real number. In this country, not a third world country, in this country, there are 65 million unbanked or underbanked people in this United States of America.
Oh my God.
And the truth of the matter, in a lot of neighborhoods, people just don't trust the banks. They put their money under the mattress. They keep their money in hand. Like, it's just, and it's a totally untapped market.
Right. Wow. 65 million. I don't even know the entire population of California, but I know between San Diego and Los Angeles, there's less than 65 million people between those two cities. Yeah. I'm here in San Diego, they're in LA. And I mean, that's basically the size of our two huge cities not having a bank account. That's crazy. Yeah. Crazy. Wow. Okay. So that's huge. I love that the education, the brick and mortar, having them across. Are you doing it across the nation, or you also want to take this globally?
So we're doing it across the nation right now. And so I can announce, I guess, on your show that we took Crypto Blockchain Plug, because it is an over-the-counter exchange and educational center.
Okay.
And we've actually converted it to a nonprofit organization so that we can educate and give funding to educate people. And then we spun up the Bitcoin Bank. And so every location in the United States will be called the Bitcoin Bank. And so Crypto Blockchain Plug will be the educational component that's inside of the Bitcoin Bank. But we had to get permission to use the name bank with the Federal Reserve Bank. And And it just
Oh,
was this whole deal. They wanted me to be federally chartered, and then they realized that they couldn't make me be federally chartered if we're not going to ever apply, and they had to allow me to use the name. So we will be the Bitcoin Bank. And I'm working right
cute.
now to get the funding to open up all these locations across the US.
Oh my God, that's so amazing. Congratulations. That's
Thank
huge,
you.
huge, huge,
Thank
huge.
you.
So I want, just for the listeners, because my audience is the crypto curious people and the newbies in the space that have gotten their feet wet and they're just trying to figure out everything. I know a big question that I get asked a lot, and I think it'd be great to have you answer it as well, because it's coming from me, it's another coming from someone else. But what transactionally, right? So if you're buying Bitcoin, transactionally, how are people looking to utilize this in the future? This may not necessarily right now, but we talk about in the future people being able to buy groceries and doing their typical stuff that they would spend paper dollars, Federal Reserve notes on. They would be able to use Bitcoin for those transactions. Do you see the Bitcoin Bank being able to provide other type of banking services for those people?
Absolutely. And Dr. Brooke, to your point, yes. So right now, as you know, you can buy anything that you want really with Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, but I would caution your listeners to buy anything with Bitcoin, and I'll tell you why. Back in 2017, when I was really excited about where I could spend my Bitcoin, I ran out to Bed Bath and Beyond because they announced that they were accepting Bitcoin. I went in there, I used their QR code, I bought my blender. I think it was a juicer. It's not a blender, a
Yeah.
juicer at Bed Bath and Beyond. This is before the price shot up. Um, and right now, that same blender sits on my counter, my juicer, not blender, juicer sits on my counter at about 1,100 bucks from what I paid, which was about 150. So talk
Oh
about
my God.
inflation, right? And I still need weight loss, right? So those are the types of things that I try to get my listeners and my community to really understand. Like right now, is it worth it to you to have something that you purchase with Bitcoin
Yeah.
to just go when Bitcoin goes up in price, when it goes up in price even more than it is and has right now? How are you going to be feeling about a depreciating asset that you purchase? So what I'm suggesting to my listeners and to my community is to buy and hold right now because Bitcoin has not reached its potential. Now,
Mm.
crypto or the Bitcoin Bank eventually will provide services because we want to treat Bitcoin like an asset.
Yeah.
Just like we wouldn't sell our house just because we needed to buy something, you take a loan against it and then you pay the loan back or you pay. So eventually, the Bitcoin Bank will be able to provide the services where people can take a loan against their Bitcoin. And I make a joke all the time and tell my kids, you better not sell my houses and you better not sell my Bitcoin. So I'm definitely working in the space to just make sure that that those services and different innovative services are going to come up. You got to know
Yeah.
that maybe a little boy that was born today is going to come out with something innovative that's going
Yeah.
to be available to utilize in the Bitcoin space in 20 years. Like, who knows what's to come? And so we've really right now just got to focus while Bitcoin is on sale in stacking and holding our Bitcoin and not getting so anxious about the price and listening to all the noise because Bitcoin has not yet reached its full potential, period. No way it has.
No, I agree with you. With that said, where do you see the future going? And I know that that's a really loaded question in terms of the potential for Bitcoin. Like when you say Bitcoin hasn't reached its potential, do you believe in 20 years it will, or 50 years, or 5 years? Where do you see the full potential of Bitcoin being reached?
So I think that we're going to reach a substantial, I'll say it that way. I think we're going to reach a substantial amount of value in the next 5 to 10 years. But as far as where I think Bitcoin is going to go, I don't believe that I'm going to see that in my lifetime. I don't believe that my children are going to see it in their lifetime, but their children will probably see it. And I just think that the way Satoshi Nakamoto set Bitcoin up and the way it is divided into those 100 million little parts, there's room, Dr. Brooke, for this one coin to be worth $100 million. And I think we're going to be there. I think we're going to be there. And again, I may not see it. My children may not see it, but my great grandchildren may. And if they didn't sell my Bitcoin like I told them, they'll be set forever, right? So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. But yes, in the next 5 to 10 years, there's so many things that are happening right now around us. If we're paying attention to not just the micro, the things that are happening in our community, but looking at the macro. We know that Bitcoin's not going anywhere. Cryptocurrency is not going anywhere. Today I reported China and the European central banks, they're all coming on board with their own CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. And so once they implement that, it's going to make Bitcoin all the more valuable because people are going to see how they are dictating what you spend, where you spend, and how you spend. And they're going to get pissed off and they're going to look for something that is decentralized. They're going to look to something that is going to help them specifically. And we're going to be holding all the Satoshi cards. And so I'm excited about that. I'm so excited.
Oh, that's so powerful. Like, yes, you say the CBDC, and I just like cringe inside. And this is where education is so powerful because they utilize things like FTX collapse and what, Luna earlier this year and all the debacles that have happened in 2022 in the cryptocurrency space as ways to turn around and make the public see this in a very negative light so they can spin the CBDC in this positive hero coming to save you type.
Absolutely.
And it is not. It is absolutely. It is a wolf dressed in sheep's clothing. And like you saying that right now is just like, yes, 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 because the people are going to realize the more that you and I continue to educate, the more that people that are in the space are continuing to educate, they're going to see how much more they're going to grab control of things utilizing that type of currency. And it is very, very scary.
Yes, very scary.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go a step further and tell you, because you're spot on it. They utilize things that happen in the negative to push their agendas. And what I see happening, people are like, how are they going to implement a CBDC? Well, I'm going to tell you how they're going to do it. They're going to allow, and I'm saying allow because they're just going to allow somebody like Russian hackers, or they're going to allow somebody to come in and shut down the banking system.
Yeah.
Something catastrophic is going to happen in the banking system where, some hackers are taking control, and then they're going to close it down and they're going to have a bank day. And when that bank day happens, I mean, look historically at the last bank day, and then they're going to implement CBDCs for your good. And so that's how this thing is going to go down. I'm waiting on it because it's going to happen.
I agree with you. It's definitely going to happen. And, it is a little bit scary for me because it's one of those things where you want to get your family and you want to get your friends and you want to get all the people closest to you on board. And then you get people in those nucleuses, those friends and family that are just like, oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. You're like, no, come on. So, but yes.
Yeah. And your community is no different from my community, from your family to my family, all the same. As much as I'm in this space trying to talk to people and educate them, like I have family members that are still not on board, and they are not going to get on board until it's too late. But what I've decided is, hey, I've got to make sure that I'm good, because if I'm good, then I can reach back and get those. But I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time trying to pull people along. They're just going to have to come on their own. All you can do is plant a seed and just let it grow. And then when they're ready, they'll come back to you. And I want your listeners to know that too, because I know sometimes, it's hard. It's hard talking to family members about, just the during crypto winners. You feel like,
Yes.
you gave somebody bad advice when they bought it at 68 and now it's 16, right?
Right. Right.
The value is what you're involved in. The technology is what you're involved in.
Mhm.
It's not going to stay here for long. Bitcoin is just reaching its teenage years.
Yeah.
And it's just finding its way, just like a teenager. It has pimples, doesn't know if it wants to dress like like a skater. It doesn't know if it wants to dress like, it doesn't know what it's doing yet. But as it grows up and it matures, it's going to serve us well. And so, again, I think we got about another 5 to 10 years, and we're going to really start to see the fruits of our labor. And even then, again, I'm saying you need to hold and figure out other options
Yeah.
unless you do micro strategy did a couple of weeks last week, but that's a whole nother story in itself. But um
Yeah.
and, yeah, so
Yeah.
yes.
Well, that's, oh gosh. I mean, so much said there. So much said there. I love it. You host a radio show called Above the Crypto Curve. Can you talk a
Mhm.
little bit about what listeners tuning into that can learn or gain as they listen to that show?
So basically, I really try to bring current events. People want to know what's happening in the space, kind of like the real perspective,
Mhm.
because you can read it and really not understand what they're talking about. People talk so high level on these shows like CNN and CNBC, and they're talking all these big words. And so people just really want somebody that's talking their language, like down to earth,
Yeah.
help me
Yeah.
understand how this relates to me. I don't care how this helps MicroStrategy or BlackRock. I want to
Yeah.
know how this affects my life and how I'm going to be able to use it. And so, on Ahead of the Crypto Curve, we really focus on just bringing the news, but also giving little bits and pieces of education as people need it, so that every day they can tune in and know that they're getting the real information and not something that I've been paid to say or a sponsor that I'm working with.
Yeah.
Because I do really, really, I have, and I get beat over the head for it a lot. I don't take sponsors because I just want to be authentic. I want to say that I like a wallet or a company because I like them because of how it's structured and what it does for the new users, the newbies. I have my
Mhm.
favorites only because of how easy they are. And I just, I choose, I don't want to rep somebody's coin or rep somebody's product, because eventually, just like with FTX, that's what happens, right, Steph Curry? Right? A whole bunch of other people, like
Oh my
you get
gosh.
you get all in the bunch if you do the wrong thing with the wrong company. And
Yeah.
like, you can't trust anybody in this space other than your Bitcoin and your wallet and your instinct. And so we just really try to bring that information every day like that.
That's awesome. I love it. I've been sharing with people, I've had a lot of people reach out to me when the whole FTX debacle happened, and they were like, "Are you safe? Are you okay?" And I said, "Yes, I appreciate you reaching out. I'm okay. Like, that I educate and teach you guys to take custody of your assets." And so I use an analogy a lot recently about, you would never go into Target, pick up all your items, all your stuff, and just leave it there.
You wouldn't. You
You wouldn't.
definitely
And
wouldn't.
so, like, it's just, you have to, like you said, you're telling people about the wallets that are good for, like, that how to utilize, that are great for beginners, not because you're being told to pimp out this wallet, or to, I
Yes.
don't know, that you're getting paid big bucks to tell them that. So that's very awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Final question, and then I want people to be able to connect with you. So we'll get into that in just a second. But as a coach, I think that you get to hear a lot of fears that people have regarding the crypto space. We did talk about some of it. But what would you say the number one fear is that people within your audience, or your students, or your peers that you're working with, what are their number one fears about this space?
I would say, and it's kind of a fear, but not a fear. Most people, instinctively want to go all in. Like they
Mm.
want to know if they should mortgage their house, if they should
Ah,
liquidate their 401k. And I'm like, no, we want a dollar cost average your way. And so I think the fear is that they're going to miss out by just doing a little bit at a time.
mm,
And we've got to get away from that. We definitely have got to pace ourselves in this.
mhm.
You've got to be able to sleep at night. You've got to be able to feel secure about what you're doing. And so that's the number one fear is that they're not doing enough fast enough.
So
And so
almost like a FOMO approach, like they have
yeah,
the fear of missing out. They're missing out on their next $1 million.
yes, yep.
Yeah.
So that's what they're feeling like. And so I just hate to see people doing really silly things. And I see it all the time. And I'm like,
Yeah.
because you can do this slow, you can do this steady, you're going to be okay. You're here.
Right.
You actually are in a better position now than you were before FTX got
Right.
debacle happened, because now that's pushed all Wall Street back. I'm glad they're back. I'm
Yes.
glad they're back in their place, tucking
Yes.
their tails. I hate that they lost money, so I'm not going to be that insensitive. But I'm glad that it's going to give just the regular everyday people an opportunity to stack a little bit more Satoshis until they figure out it wasn't Bitcoin, it was FTX. Because a lot of people are still just acting like that was the entire industry that's gone down the tubes.
Yeah.
And so when they figure out, oh, no, it wasn't, then, they're going to be back. But right now we have the prime opportunity to
Hmm.
really go small, even if it's $6 a day, $6 a week, $100. Do what you can do.
Hmm.
Never invest more than you can afford to lose. I say that all the time as an
Hmm.
ex-financial advisor on purpose. Never invest more than you can afford to lose. And just really understand the technology, because you sleep so good at night when you have your ledger or your seed words, because sometimes your ledger may fall in the water or something. But if, as long as you have your seed words,
Yeah.
you're good, and you're listening to Dr. Brooke and you are self-custodying your coin, you should sleep well.
Yes. Amen. That was awesome. Thank you so much again for being here. I just absolutely love this conversation. We're totally on the same page about all of this stuff, really educating people in the proper way so they don't lose their shirt in the process. Like you said, mortgaging the house, 401ks, it's the worst decision that they can make. And, so glad you said that. Where can people connect with you? How can they stay in touch? How can they get connected to the show and see what Crypto Blockchain Plug is all about?
Well, they can follow me on social media. Thank you, Dr. Brooke. I am Najah Roberts. No underscores, no dots, no numbers, there's so many scammers out there. So please be careful. And I'll never be in your DMs asking you to invest with me. That is absolutely not me. So please, just Najah Roberts, nothing else, on all social medias. And then my show, Ahead of the Crypto Curve, you can actually download an app. It's called KBLA Talk 1580. And I'm on every day, 1 o'clock Pacific, just educating and getting the community up on what needs to happen and what our financial trajectory looks like if we're just doing a little bit of Bitcoin dollar cost averaging a day. And I say a DCA a day keeps poverty away.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That is so awesome. I'll be sure to link all of those, the radio show link, as well as your proper social media handles, so people get to the right page, at the first click in the show notes. So they'll have access to that.
All
So
right.
yeah, is there anything, final words that you want to say before we pull this right into the station?
Absolutely. Listen to Dr. Brooke. She is the best choice that you have, especially because she's just a fabulous woman. But listen to
Oh,
Dr. Brooke. Take heed to everything that she's saying. Those of us that live in this space, we live, breathe, eat crypto. She is a
yeah.
crypto practor. You need to trademark that too.
Right.
So anyway,
Okay.
yeah, you need to do that. But listen to Dr. Brooks. She will lead you and help guide you into this space safely. And so I just appreciate you for having me here today. Just have an incredible new year.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, you guys, you heard it from Najah Roberts. Protect yourself, take custody of your coins. DCA, dollar cost average, every single day keeps poverty away. I hope you enjoyed the ride for today. As we pull into the station, be sure to exit to your right, and we will see you on the next one.
You made it! Congratulations! That wasn't so bad, was it? I hope you laughed and learned a little bit more about this Web3 universe and how simple and fun it can really be. Would you be so kind as to leave us a review and share it with your friends and family? It would mean so much to get this out to more people as we embark on the greatest transfer of wealth that has ever happened in human history. Can't wait to see you on the next one.